Many thanks for joining me again right here on Joy News. For more business news updates, this is the Marketplace. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafe. This is the platform where we analyze the markets, talk about trends and investments, and how global developments are impacting business activities here in Ghana. Ahead in this edition, Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana expected to keep policy rate at 26% as it begins meeting today to review the health of the economy. Also in this bulletin, the Ghana Railway Workers Union have begun an industrial action over unpaid salaries and generally poor working conditions. We speak to the General Secretary of the union to get further explanation on this particular development. Also in the bulletin, Chamber of Bulk Oil Distribution Companies says it will cost Ghana more to import quality diesel and petrol as the chamber reacts to a report indicating some oil marketing companies are importing dirty diesel from the Netherlands onto the African market. These are the headlines. Of course, we have several other business stories also coming up. You can stay interactive with us by tweeting at JoyBusinessGH is our handle. And on Facebook, we are on Joy Business. For more business, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. We'll be right back. Again, thanks for staying and welcome back to the Marketplace. Now to the first story. The rate at which commercial banks can borrow from the central bank is likely to remain unchanged at least for the next 2 months. This is because Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana is expected to keep its policy rate at 26% as it begins meeting today to review the health of the economy. And how will this move influence the cost of borrowing in the country? Let's hear from George Riafe.
The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana at its last meeting in July this year held the rate at 26% because of what it describes as a favorable outlook for the economy, citing a slowdown in inflation rate then. However, with a pickup in inflation rate to 16.9% for the month of August, analysts are predicting that the Bank of Ghana will want to hold the rate or a marginal increase. The central bank will usually want to use the policy rate to check the amount of money in circulation and control general price levels. So, if there's any indication that inflation rate will be going up, then the central bank might want to increase the rate to check this. The policy rate often influences the cost of borrowing for commercial banks, which then guides the pricing of loans for businesses and individuals. But analysts have questioned the effectiveness of the policy rate because they believe that it is rather the Treasury bills rate that influences the cost of borrowing. The Monetary Policy Committee is expected to announce their decision on Monday at a press conference. They will also give us the assessment of the economy from May to August this year, especially in the areas of government expenditure, revenue, and the public debt, which stood at 205 billion Ghana cedis as at May this year.
That was a report by George Riafe. Now, the Ghana Railways Workers Union has begun an industrial action over unpaid salaries and generally poor working conditions. On Monday, the workers suspended the intended strike and have resumed or were expected to resume the strike again. But following this, we've been speaking to the General Secretary of the union to tell us why this particular action now.
Our issue is simple. You know, as a result of the decline of the railway sector, under President Kufuor, there was that arrangement that because of the non-revamped nature of the railway, they're going to support the railway workers in terms of payment of salaries. And so whatever the railway company generates, the government tops up to pay salaries. This situation has gone on from President Kufuor's time up to the current president. In fact, just this year, from January to now, the Ministry of Finance has not released any support for the company. What has happened to the workers so far is that the management of the company has paid net salaries of workers up to June. living contributions like the SNAIT and tier 2 pensions and workers' own contribution that should go to the credit unions so that when they are in need they can go in for soft loans and those kind of things. All these things management has not been able to do as a result of the now release of the release from Ministry of Finance. And so as I speak to you, July, August salaries have not been paid. It's likely if the support does not come, September salaries too cannot be paid by the management. And so we as unions took it upon ourselves and wrote letters to the office of the president. We have engaged the Ministry of Transport, we have engaged the Ministry of Labour and Employment. We have even engaged the National Labour Commission on 2 occasions.
All right, so on Business Live, we'll be exploring how this action is going to have on businesses, small-scale businesses, of course, and micro businesses around the Central Business District. Now, moving on, prices of petroleum products should go down marginally from this weekend. This will is influenced by some developments on the international market. There's more in this report.
The drop will be influenced by some marginal reduction in the price of crude oil on the international market, as well as finished products over the past 2 weeks. The drop is also as a result of a favorable outlook for the Ghana cedi as the country awaits the Eurobond and Cocoa loan syndication cash. Our calculations show that petrol could go up by just under 1%, whilst diesel could drop by almost 2%. However, LPG might witness the biggest drop of about 4% per kilogram. But with the over 70 oil marketing companies in operation, it is not likely that all of them will reduce their prices at the various service stations. Joy Business understands some may not even reduce their prices at all. This is because of a new policy that was implemented earlier this year, which allows each oil marketing company to set its own price.
That was a Business Desk report. Now, the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distribution Companies says it will cost Ghana more to import quality diesel and petrol. That's according to the Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, Senor Hossi. He spoke to Joy Business during the launch of an investigative report conducted by the Public Eye in collaboration with the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP. The report indicates that some oil marketing companies are importing dirty diesel from the Netherlands onto the African market. It also cited lack of compliance from policy makers in the African sub-region to regulate the petroleum downstream sector.
The report revealed that notable oil marketing companies, including Vitol, Vivo, among others, have been importing substandard petroleum products into the region. Responding to the report, Chief Executive Officer of the Bulk Distribution Companies, Senor Hossi, noted standards in Ghana are different from Europe and Asia. As a result, he said BDCs will have to pay more to get petroleum products equivalent to European standards. He explains that it will cost Ghanaian customers more in demanding high-quality fuels.
In Ghana, if we want to achieve that, we have to set that as a standard. To do that will also mean that there will be cost implications, because to ask for a Rolls Royce when you are driving a Corolla would definitely mean you should spend more on the car. All right, so that will require us to pay more, and that is a decision that standards government through the NPA would have to take. See, the standards across West Africa are largely similar. So what the diesel that comes to Ghana is practically the same diesel that goes to Nigeria. So it makes the logistical cost much cheaper, because one huge vessel can come and feed Ghana and then Nigeria at the same time. But when yours is really unique, all right, it means that vessels would have to head here largely for you, or probably special compartments are left for you, and that comes at a premium as well. So there's a logistical premium, and then there's also a product premium that would have to be paid, and that is also not a problem.
Petroleum commodities researcher Gian Valentino Viradez shared his thoughts about the report with Joy Business.
This highlight actually show that Swiss traders today produce, sell and deliver substandard fuels to Africa that in turn damages the health of the population and the environment in Africa. We actually dedicated a full chapter on Ghana, so we went to them, we discussed with them about that. But they provided answer to us that we don't agree actually on all of them, and we believe that what we are doing is actually providing a report that could inform the people that so that they know what they are selling, what they are buying, when they go at the pump. Because I believe it is in their interest, and so far the discussion about lowering the sulfur standard in fuel was held only at a ministerial level. So I believe that today the people in Ghana have to know that.
The report seeks to expose some illegalities involved in importation of crude.
All right, so we'll try and link up with the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers to tell us what they feel about this particular development, and we're trying to call the Executive Secretary of the Chamber. When we get over to him, we'll link him up for his comments. Moving on, a consultant with the Ghana Petroleum Commission, Tony Paul, has cautioned the newly passed Petroleum Exploration and Production Law will not bring significant benefits to the nation if it is not well implemented. Tony Paul stated this at the Stakeholders Conference to discuss the optimal benefits of the new E&P law. There's more in this report.
The Petroleum Exploration and Production Law was recently passed by Parliament to provide a general framework to regulate the entire petroleum industry in Ghana. According to Tony Paul, even though the passage of the new Petroleum Exploration and Production Law puts Ghana in a better position to negotiate contracts in the sector properly, the implementation would elude the country if implementation is done with limited resources.
And one of the things legislation is supposed to do is to create an institution with the capacity to implement and oversee legislation. We saw a flaw in legislation for the Petroleum Commission, where they were put in place to do the regulatory aspect of the law, but initially didn't have a mechanism for funding. You can't have capacity without funding. Yeah? So you must consider that entire continuum of what it takes to get good law. Good law must be rooted in good policy. Good policy must be conditioned by good analysis of your state and your end vision.
On his part, Executive Director of the African Center for Energy Policy, Dr. Amin Adams, thinks the law lacks clarity on many issues raised by civil society organizations. He said the law will help Ghana to increase opportunities in the oil and gas industry when well implemented.
All right, so going back to our earlier story, we've been joined now on the line by the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amoah, to have his reaction to this particular report that has come up, indicating that some oil marketing companies are importing dirty diesel into the country from Europe. Good afternoon, welcome to the marketplace, Duncan.
Good afternoon, Emmanuel. Good afternoon to your listeners this afternoon.
Okay, now I'm sure you are privy to this report, which has recently come up. What's your reaction to this?
Emmanuel, it is one of shock, it is one of disdain, it is one of complete betrayal by the authorities that be in this country. One would have expected that the average person, the unsuspecting Ghanaian consumer, will be much better protected, will be much better taken care of than we actually are being taken care of in real sense of the word, taken care of. Clearly, what we are consuming now as a people it's not only a health hazard, but also both very bad for businesses, for private individuals who want to drive their vehicles for over a period and be able to maintain such vehicles. It looks as though what the state or what we can offer to our people is this low-grade kinds of diesel that we continue to import from wherever we import products from. It's very worrying.
Duncan, before you continue, can you educate us a bit on the content of this particular toxic diesel as well?
Yes, Emmanuel, what it means is this. If you take diesel particularly, it says this. There's a part per million, right? If I put, let's say, 1 cup of diesel, and I can divide the diesel into 1 million parts, I shouldn't find sulfur limits exceeding a certain amount.
Okay.
That is what, in the advanced part of the world, in some countries, even in Africa, they have been able to reduce the sulfur content because sulfur in itself is harmful both to individuals and also to engines. But clearly, we continue to go back to the West to look to import products that have very high sulfur content. And what that means is that our environment continue to be challenged. Vehicles that normally could have lasted 5 to 10 years before major maintenance would naturally not take more than a year or two before they go back to these mechanics or workshops. Clearly, we are being served very low quality, low grade products, and it's worrying to all of us.
According to some bulk distributors, it is more expensive to import, such quality diesel into the country. What are consumers looking out for? The quality or the price?
It is quite disheartening also to even hear some of those arguments. But we would excuse the business people because they have a business to run. But again, we have said that there's an import parity price, as in how much it costs to import products across the world. There's a global petroleum pricing index, how much fuel prices cost across the world. As we speak today, if you check the global petroleum pricing index, Ghana is getting low-grade products, but it's saying 0.92 cents per liter. Kenya, a country within Africa, is doing 50 ppm, but it's able to do around 0.65 cents.
Okay.
65 cents per liter.
What is ppm?
That is parts per million. As in, if you take 1 cup of diesel and you should break that into 100 or 1 million parts, you are not supposed to get sulfur exceeding 10 parts according to the standard in some places. But we are accepting 3,000 parts per million as far as the sulfur content is concerned. And that explains why when you stay in traffic for a few minutes, a few hours, you realize that exhaust fumes alone and the sort of concentration it puts both into your lungs and on your face will tell you that clearly we are inhaling too much poison from the environment, and this is coming out of how dirty or how bad our diesel products are on the market.
Now, before this report came out, we've been using this particular, dirty diesel for a long time. I mean, what do you think should change now?
Emmanuel, it is a matter of policy, and we believe that if the NPA wants to do anything to clean some of this mess, it should sit down quietly and within the shortest possible time be able to put in place a mechanism to ensure that if we don't even gravitate to the 10 ppm, we can do at least 40 or at most 50 like Kenya has done, and we'll be able to reduce the kind of carbon emissions in the system. The kind of waste that the system continues to give to vehicle owners and transporters is so huge, and the cost, we can't quantify immediately. But the NPA and the government has a job to do to be able to ensure that we are getting minimum, safe limits or safe level.
So what next from consumers? The bulk, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, what are you going to do next? Apart from
Emmanuel, I can assure you that as of close of business yesterday, most of our major stakeholders, including the AGI, couldn't have been happy with the turn of all these staff revelations, and they would, in the not too distant future, call on those authorities to come and explain and show the way forward, because clearly this is unacceptable, and we do not accept the standards that we have in this country, and being charged for so much when we are being given quite inferior products compared to what other countries have. Emmanuel.
Thank you very much. Now, before you go, the second pricing window starts tomorrow. We are getting indications that there should be a decrease. What is your outfit also,
Emmanuel, it starts today, and from our projections or calculations here at the chamber, we believe that some 2 to 3% reduction in pump prices will be fair, largely because world market prices have remained stable and have dropped even by some point. The city has also maintained its weight over the past 2 weeks. So some drop at the pumps by some 2 to 3% is to be expected.
Thank you very much, Duncan Amoah, for your time. That was Duncan Amoah, Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. We're taking a short break here on Marketplace. We'll be right back after this. Thanks for staying and welcome back to the program. Now, the first tranche of MCC Compact 2 funds is to be disbursed to the Millennium Development Authority (MIDA) by next month towards implementing ECG's private sector participation program. It follows the announcement last week that a 5-year agreement with the U.S. government had come into force. This means the country, after meeting all requisite conditions, can now start accessing the about $500 million grant for transforming the power sector. Now, the first tranche is about $280 million, and MIDA Chief Executive Engineer Kweku Safo explains to Joy Business this would, however, not be disbursed at a go. He began by throwing more light on the various components of the funds for the 5-year contract.
It's almost 500 million. Government is required to make a contribution of 7.5%, and that comes to $37.4 million US. So the total amount of money that we'll have to implement under the compact is $535.6 million US. So these are the total funds. Now, the funds come at different times. We have what we call the Compact Implementation Fund, and this is the first funds that we received to enable us to prepare to implement the compact. Actually setting up an office, taking on staff, initiating certain consultancy jobs, some studies that are required to be made, some plans that are required to be done. All these are all part of the Compact Implementation Funding phase. When you have met all the conditions, then you are able to access what we call the program funds. The program funds is $469 from the U.S. government is $469 million, and out of this $469, that also comes in two tranches. The first tranche is $279 million, and the second tranche is $190 million. Now, there are other requirements that are required to be met for you to be able to access the first tranche of money. You know, we need to have certain plans in place. We have met all those requirements, and therefore, once we put in the disbursement request, the first tranche should come. I'm saying that the first tranche, the total amount of money obligated for the first tranche is $279 million US. Now, we expect that within the next in the next quarter, that is from October to December, we will have a program management consultant. We need funds for that. We will have a GIS work to be done, a data center work, and various other activities. We'll have monitoring and evaluation and other activities which are also carried over from the Compact Implementation Fund. All these will be taking place, and therefore we request the funds that are available, and then those funds are released to us.
Meanwhile, the implementing agency, MIDA, has explained there is no ambiguity about the clause in the compact, beg your pardon. Chief Executive Officer Owura Safo also reacted to allegations of fraud made by workers of the ECG.
When you have an international treaty, the international treaty is guided by international law. That treaty ought to be ratified by your own parliament. And when your own parliament ratifies it, then it becomes law for you. That is basically what it becomes law. Because once you have signed that treaty, and your own parliament ratifies the treaty, then that becomes your law. Basically, that's what it means. The reason why that is required is that, take procurement. We are guided by the procurement laws of Ghana. However, under the agreement, we have other procurement guidelines that we need to follow. And so when we follow those guidelines, we have not broken Ghanaian law. This is what it means.
But how about the tariff concerns? It came up that indeed PURC, for instance, had initial issues, and the concerns that tariffs may just shoot up.
I don't think that there's any justification for anybody to say that tariffs will shoot up because of the concessionaire. We have said that tariffs will continue to be set by PURC, and they will continue to set tariffs, and they will have a number of inputs into tariff setting. And we have also said that, strictly speaking, if the concessionaire brings in the innovations that we are required to have and the efficiencies that are required, strictly speaking, strictly as a result of the concession, we should rather have a reduction in tariffs.
And then how about ECG's debt? How far?
ECG's debt, as one of the conditions precedent, government was supposed to have a plan to address ECG's debt. Government gave a plan.
Now, Cocoa Board has finalized a deal with some banks and investors to help with the purchase of cocoa beans for the next crop season. This will result in these banks advancing some $1.8 billion to Cocoa Board. There's more in this report.
Sources say the deal has brought together about 16 financial institutions that Cocoa Board is going to raise the funds from to support the purchase of cocoa beans from farmers for exports. Cocoa Board is planning to sign the loan agreement with these financial institutions in Frankfurt, Germany on September 21 in what has been described over the years as a cocoa loan syndication. The funds will help the regulator of the cocoa and shea nut industry meet its production target for the next crop season. Part of the funds could be used to improve the well-being of cocoa farmers to ensure the projected production target is met.
That's the Business Desk report ending this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace, and of course, the last in the series for the week. Many thanks for joining me throughout the week, and hope you do so again come Monday. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. You can always stay interactive with us by tweeting at JoyBusinessGH is our handle, and on Facebook, Joy Business is our page. For more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Let's catch up again at 5 p.m. on Business Live.